Hey, how you doing? Izzy at Digital Goja Showrooms. Well, I scoured the internet. I went on Amazon, eBay, our own customer service emails, and I looked to find out what are the most asked questions about the Canon EOS Rebel T6s. Now this video is in two parts. We separated the video for beginners and for advanced users. And as always, if this video helps you out, remember to hit me up with a like button underneath and subscribe to our channel for future frequently asked questions and to share with fellow photographers and videographers. And don't forget, when in Miami, come say hello at Digital Goja Showrooms. Let's get started with the most asked questions about the Canon Rebel T6s for beginning users. Does it have a dual card slot? No, Canon did not put this in the, I haven't seen it yet in any of the Rebels. And of course, this is their newest one. It's meant to work with one SDXC card at a time. But guess what? If you need more capacity, you can jump up to 128 gigabytes. No need for a secondary card. Plus, you also have the Wi-Fi capability in this camera. So that way you can be backing up on the fly without having to have dual cards on your T6s. Does it use 58mm filters? Remember, that has to do with your lens. Now, the configuration for the T6s is either body by itself, or you get it with the 18-135 IS-STM, which happens to be 67mm. Let's say you have one of the 18-55 lenses sitting around, that is a 58mm diameter. But if you want to work with the existing lens that comes with the camera, look for 67mm filters. You can find some really good deals on UV, CPLs, and ND filters. Does it have scene modes? Yes, it does. Even though this is a prosumer-oriented camera, you can start out with Intelligent Auto, but your next one is, these are already on the dial. These are the most popular ones that we use most of the time. There's your portrait mode. Here's your landscape scenery mode. Here's your macro close-up. Here is your sports fast action. And then you actually have a scene button. And now for this, you go into the menu in the camera. So now with the camera set to the scene mode, this is the way you're going to access the different scene modes on your screen. You're going to press the Q button, and then remember there's a touch screen. And now you can toggle through the different scene modes that are incorporated. So notice handheld night scene. This is meant so that it's worked without a tripod because it shoots 4 shots and creates one. Night portrait, which also means that the background will be illuminated and flash will be used for the subject matter. Candlelight to preserve the ambience in the lighting in the shots, usually candles. Food, when you want to do culinary photography, very important. Kids, this is to make sure that we stop the children in motion so that you get a nice clear shot of our children running around. And of course you have your HDR backlight, which is giving you HDR imaging for high contrast scenes. Does it come with a lens cap? Well, remember, the camera has a body cap, but your lens better come with a lens cap, because you always want to make sure that when your lens is not being used, you have minimum a lens cap on here. Theoretically, you should also have a filter, but the lens cap should be on your lens when not being used. Does it have a selfie mode? Well, it has an articulating screen, so you could theoretically use it for selfies if you have a wide enough lens. Perfect thing to do is make sure you have your scene mode set to portrait mode. Turn on your camera, activate your live view, flip the articulating screen over, and now on the wide perspective, notice how it's focusing and it's going to take a picture of me in selfie mode, and you can also do videos this way too. How many shots per charge can I get with the T6s? Well, the average is 550 shots. That's the SEPA rating. But the way they come to that, it's tricky. So, you know, mileage may vary. It all depends on how much flash use, whether you're going to be using the articulating screen a lot on live view, whether you're recording video. All that is taken into consideration with how many shots per charge. So take it as a grain of salt. It's 550. You can average more or a little bit less. If you're really worried, get yourself extra batteries, have them on hand. Can I shoot in low light? Well, if you're old school like me and you shoot on manual, you can now go ahead into your ISO menu, and I can go all the way up to 12,800 ISO. So this is really going to allow me to do really low light situations. And notice how it actually tells you that if you're going to be doing video, it's going to be a maximum of 6,400 ISO. Now, for people that don't want to bother with this and they want to go into the more automated one, you can go into your scene mode and you can do handheld night scene if you choose to, or candlelight. So you do have options in scene mode without having to do any settings yourself. Does it have a flash? Yes, they gave you a built-in flash. Most Rebels have been doing this for a long time. Now, of course, in the fully auto mode, the camera's the one that makes a decision. If you switch it over to program, you can now go ahead and depress this button, and you now activated the flash feature where it will shoot the flash in basically the correct exposure because you told it to use the flash. Do the lenses from my T3i work with my T6s? Absolutely. Notice the plethora of lenses I have here. I have L series lenses. I have a USM lens. This lens has been around for quite a while. Very popular lens. EFS, EF, anything that's an EF, EFS lens will work very well on your T6s. So don't worry whether it was on a T2i, T3i, or even a T1i. They will function on your T6s. Is it assembled in Japan? Yes, this model is. The body is, and there it says it, made in Japan. So if that is really a stickler point for you, you'll be happy to know that the T6s is manufactured in Japan. What kind of battery does the T6s work with? Well, it's the newest one, the LPE17. This is 1040 milliamp, 7.2 volts, and yes, 7.5 watt hours. This is a very popular new battery that they've brought out. It'll work with your T6i, T6s, even your new M5. Is it worth upgrading from the T2i to the T6s? I think so. Remember, it's about 3 to 4 generations back. 18 megapixel compared to 24. The new Digic processor, more focusing points, faster focusing, focusing with video, Wi-Fi, a touchscreen, still articulating, but it is now a touchscreen that is articulating screen. You have the LCD panel on the top for your info. Many different reasons to upgrade to the new T6s from something as old as a T2i. Does it have Wi-Fi? Yes, as a matter of fact, it even has NFC. If you notice on the bottom here with certain Android devices, you have the NFC capability where you just tap it, also including the CS100 docking station from Canon. Now, to work with Wi-Fi, your camera has to have a fully charged battery, and we have to go into the menu and notice how we're going to go to the first tool setting, scroll down to Wi-Fi NFC. You enabled it and just go through the process, and that way you'll have it linked up to your favorite smartphone or tablet or even smart TV or even yet another camera, so you can transfer files that way, and of course a CS100 station. So yes, many different capabilities with the Wi-Fi feature of your T6s. What kind of memory cards can I use with my T6s? Well, it's still an SDXC that's been around for 7 years now. So stick with the UHS 1. That's going to give you the speed that it'll be able to handle. You'll be able to shoot, again, class 10. Here's a 32 gigabyte. That'll give you more than enough for stills. But if you want to do some great video, you can step up to the 64 gigabyte. Again, UHS 1 SDXC will work perfectly. And it slides in on the side here, clips it, holds it, and there you're ready to go. So now when I turn it on, I have the capability of, depending on the setting, up to 1,000 shots with one memory card. Let's get started with the most asked questions about the Canon Rebel T6s for advanced users. Is there considerable shutter lag with? No, we're talking about the most current in their digic processor. This is many 1,000 of a millisecond. I don't even know the way to designate it. It's just, there's no way that you're going to have issues. It's not a point and shoot. It's not a cell phone. This is a serious DSLR. Am I able to charge through USB? No, I've only seen that with like mirrorless cameras that have the capability of hooking up a USB and using that as a power source. With the DSLRs, you pretty much have to remove your battery and place it into a wall wart system, which is pretty fast. This usually charges in about an hour, hour and a half. So you just have to be prepared. Walk around with extra batteries, or maybe get a battery grip and work with 2 batteries at the same time, but it is not USB charging. Is it weather sealed? No, I'm afraid not. This has no O-rings over here, neither on the back of this lens. So you're noticing there's no weather sealing there. If you want to weather sealed your T6s, best thing to do is get yourself a nice rain cover. They're economical, lightweight, easy to carry. That'll guarantee years of use in harsh environments. Just get a rain cover. That'll help you out. Can I adjust my LCD? Well, I guess they meant the brightness and even the color, and you can. Let's go into the menu, and we're going to go to the third little setup tool. Go to screen color, click on that, and notice how you can actually change the icon color and configuration as far as, so let's say for example you prefer that lighter background, you can do so. That seems like a bluish tint, and this one is like a red. So if you're working in low light and you don't want any light being emitted, let's say you're doing some clandestine imaging, boy, this is the way to go. And we can also go and change the LCD brightness. Now you have to be careful with this, because notice you can make it incredibly bright, but that's going to put a hurt on your battery power. So yes, you can adjust both the color and the LCD brightness on your T6s. How do I connect to a monitor? Well, the best way to do it is to work with HDMI. And this is HDMI Mini, which is very popular and very standard. You can find these all over the place. So you would connect it there to HDMI out, and then to a standard HDMI connection. And if you want to work with a portable monitor, there are some systems out there that will work with the standard USB to a different monitor. Let's say for example something in a 6 or 7 inch. There's even some from Manfrotto that will work with your iPads, like the Digital Director. So you have lots of options, but the most popular is the standard HDMI Mini to standard HDMI. How do I connect to Wi-Fi with my T6s? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to go to your app store and download the Canon Camera Connect app. So notice how this is the actual app right here. Have it connected. We're going to go into our menu, and we want to enable Wi-Fi, and then go to Wi-Fi function, and connect to smartphone. Connect. And then you have to, of course, have Wi-Fi enabled on your device. And you have to look for the one that says Canon, which is a nickname that you have to give it. So here I have one that says Goja Canon, and I'm now going to connect to that one. When you have the little check mark, that means you're connected. Now you can go back and connect to the camera. I can go to remote live shooting, and I can now control the camera so I can shoot, or I can also go ahead and look at images on the camera, and notice how I can view the images on there, and I can save them or transfer them. It gives me all my EXIF data, so all that information is stored with the images that I have on the camera itself. So there you have it. They make it really simple to both transfer your images and to control your camera with the Canon Camera Connect Wi-Fi capability. Can I do macro shots with the T6s? Yes, it does have the close-up mode to try to do some macro photography with your existing kit lens. But if you're going to do some serious macro work, you need to work on manual, and you need to have the proper tools. So if you get something like this, the 100mm 2.8L with image stabilization, this is a perfect tool to create incredible macro images with your T6s. And I'll show you. With the proper tools, you can create images like this. Notice how you can have incredible detail with an incredibly small product such as this. Can I use a plug-in trigger release? Of course. I mean, remember, the camera does have the Wi-Fi capability for control, but you know what? If you don't need that and you want to save battery life, this is the way to go. So notice right here on the left, right above the mic connection, here is your wired trigger plug. And of course, there is an official Canon one, but there are a lot of aftermarket ones like this one here. Notice how it just plugs straight in, and you can angle it depending on where you're going to be positioning the camera to shoot. And that means that now I can go ahead and fire, and it also, depending on the model, you have a lock feature, or you want to switch it to bulb, you can do that also. But this allows you to remotely fire your camera without having to kill your battery using Wi-Fi. Can I use an external microphone with my T6s? Yes, remember, Canon's been doing this with the Rebel line for quite a while. That's why it's become a pro videographer's and enthusiast's dream. Here's your ports covered. Pop it open. There's the 3.5mm for microphone port. This one attaches here, and then this happens to be a microphone that's a condenser, and this one has an XLR connector. So I will connect the XLR there, and then this gives me the option of either putting it on the camera hot shoe or attaching it to a light stand or to a tripod. So this way you can get some incredible audio with your Canon T6s. Does it have in-body image stabilization? No, that's not something that they're putting into the DSLRs. That's why when you purchase your lenses, you want to make sure that if you want stabilization, you will see stabilizer on the lens itself. And there you have the way of capability to activate it or turn it off, depending on the shooting scenario. Is there a way to put a date stamp on my image? No, not really. That pretty much doesn't exist in most DSLRs. I mean, remember, in your playback, your info always has the information in the EXIF data. So that shows you the date and time and everything when it was shot. But honestly, that's not a feature that's very common in today's DSLRs. How many focusing points does the T6s have? It has 19 cross point focusing points. You can activate them by pressing this button here. And then notice how then you can switch over to the different sections. You can do section and put them in groups, or if you want to choose them individually, you can move them with your control dial, or you can actually touch on the screen where you want it to focus. Does it offer focus peaking? No, not really. I mean, basically what they tout is tap to focus so that you can focus by pressing on the screen and locking the focus on the subject matter that way. And that's still using autofocus, but no focus peaking in the T6s. Can I shoot JPEG and RAW at the same time? Yes, of course. They gave you that capability. Best way to access it is to go into your Q menu and then move over. I keep forgetting touchscreen. You can touch over here, click on it, and then you can move over to, as you see there, 24 megapixels. So you're now shooting both a RAW and a large JPEG version in one shot. So now we're going to take a look and see how simple it is to do manual focus magnification while you're on live view. This is great for critical shooting, and you want to make sure that your focus is right on the money. So notice how I can now go ahead and zoom in. That's 5 times magnification, or I can do 10 times magnification, and then I can do my critical focus and then zoom back out and snap the shot to guarantee that it focuses right the way I want it. Can I use an external flash? Absolutely, that's why that hot shoe is there. Remember, you do have the built-in flash, but honestly, that's just there to try to help you out. The best way to do flash photography is with an external flash. Here I have one of Canon's more popular, the smaller version, the 430EX3 RT. Very simple to work with. Mount it onto the shoe. Press in to make sure it's in there. I set it to ETTL, lock it in place, and you can even shoot on full automatic. Plus, of course, you have many other features, including easy wireless TTL. Can I use an easy wireless system for flash with the T6s? Absolutely, but the first thing you have to get out of is this incredibly auto mode. Least, set it to program where the camera still helps you out. So then we have to go into our menu, and we're going to go into the first folder. So we activate flash control, and we're going to scroll down to built-in flash settings, because we're going to be using the built-in flash to control the external one. And we want to go ahead and go into wireless function, built-in flash. You want to do easy wireless. If you're more advanced, you should go into custom, but honestly start out with the easy wireless. That way it automatically sets it to channel 1, and you can even do some little bit of exposure compensation if you choose to. And now we go ahead and we get our 430EX3, turn this on. We're going to go into its menu, and you want to move over to where it says wireless. Click on that, and you want to move it down to slave mode. In this slave mode, it's going to work with the optical light that's being emitted from your built-in flash. If you go into the trigger mode, that's a trigger frequency, and you don't want to do that because unless you have another one of these or an STERT adapter. So activate that. Notice that now it says it's on slave mode. And now you can place your flash on the side. We're going to activate the flash on the T6s, and notice that when I fire this flash, the 430EX-RT will also fire off. That way you can place it at a distance and be more creative in your flash photography. Can I mount my T6s to a telescope? Absolutely. you have to get what is called a T-mount adapter. The part that's going to attach to your telescopes looks like this. It's a series of threads. They're about 39 or 42 millimeter threads. And then of course the other side is going to have your connector to your Canon Rebel. This is made so that the end of your telescope would look like this. And it will thread on here, like so, and then you mount it onto your camera. This is one of the older mirror lenses that we had in the bygone era. But very important, you have to make sure that your camera is set to manual, because remember, your telescope is going to have a fixed aperture, depending anywhere from the type of telescope and the diameter, f16, f11, and you might not have metering. Your metering is not coupling, so you're going to have to do a lot of bracketing, take the shot with your proper exposure with your shutter speed, and then take a look at the exposure afterwards. But you will be able to do some incredible, great magnified images with a telescope or a spotting scope attached to your T6s. What are the differences between the T6s and the T6i? They're subtle, but they're there. Notice right off the bat how the control wheel has been moved so that this one, which is the T6s, now gives you the LCD readout. This is something that we're used to in some of the larger cameras, or even the EOS 70, 80 and prior. But this one, of course, still gives you the information, the T6i, on your larger LCD. And then notice how your dials being moved over, you now have your command wheel in the same spot and your ISO, but your display is up here as opposed to the display panel button is on the back, because this one has a toggle switch. So now let's take a look at the back side where you can see the substantial difference. Notice how we now have a toggle switch over here, which is awesome because this is something that we were used to, again, even in some of the full frame Canons. So let me activate my menu. Now I can actually change my f-stop by twirling here. Whereas with the T6i, you have to hold down the AV value, which is your aperture value, and change it in the control wheel in the front. So that feature is totally different. You still have your toggles here. And then you also have the lock button, which now disengages the wheel. And notice how the lock activates and says, hey, I can't do anything with this because it's locked, so I can't set my aperture. But everything else has pretty much stayed the same. Can I do AF micro adjustments with the T6s? No, that's been delegated mostly to the full frame cameras and some of their pro line. But you do have lens aberration correction, and notice that's on your first camera folder, where you can go in and do peripheral illumination, chromatic aberration, and distortion. So that way you can do a little bit of corrections for your particular EF or EFS lenses, but no micro AF adjustment. How many batteries do I need to work with the BGE18 battery grip? Well, this is a generic version. They all have a slot for 2 of the LPE17s, but you can work with just one battery and be able to use the grip on the T6s. It's just that the reason the grip helps out is you can work with 2 batteries and get twice the shooting power. Can I view photos and control the camera via desktop computer? Not with the Wi-Fi that it has. That's really meant to work with, let's say, for example, a tablet or a smartphone. You will have to purchase third-party accessories and software where you will hook up the camera through a tethering device like a USB cable to your desktop to do that. Does the T6s have clean HDMI out? Not with the current configuration. Maybe there'll be a firmware update later on in the future, but at the current way that it is, you do not have clean HDMI out for recording. Well, I hope you liked this video on the EOS Canon Rebel T6s and you found it helpful. Please remember to share it with fellow photographers and videographers. And if you have any further questions, leave them in the comments section below and I'll get to them. Happy shooting!